What's happening, man?
Happy New Year, my friend.
We'd like to welcome everybody back to the platform on a beautiful day, January 30th. But we have a very, very exciting guest back with us. He was on once before. He was on our other platform, which was Raised on Real Estate. He is our very first guest on our brand new one on Planet One. With us this afternoon, coming in from the great state of Arizona, David Atkinson from Z-Sphere. David, it's great to have you back on the platform. How have you been, brother?
Great to be here, Greg. Thank you kindly. Doing very well. Thank you.
We talked a little bit before we got started, and you told me that you were out and about for about 6 weeks. So for everyone who has missed you for all this time, how can you let everybody know what you've been doing and what's happening in your life?
Yeah, you bet. So there's a lot of obvious change going on in the world, especially around the energy industry. And for anyone who's been following me on LinkedIn, and I encourage you to go look me up on LinkedIn, I post profusely on LinkedIn and I talk about the world's energy challenges, demographics and labor issues, sustainability and resiliency and the unique things that we're doing here at Z-Sphere. And so what have I been doing? So in early December, and we'll talk some about this today, in early December, we released a solution and we've created a vertical around addressing the increasing demand for affordable housing. And this is nationwide, right? In many states, it's the top political priority for the states, especially the ones that are growing like in Arizona. That's one of the reasons I'm here. And Florida, Georgia, my home state, and others that have massive influx of population for different reasons. And I don't know if you know this statistic, Greg, or your listeners, but the state of Florida right now is experiencing an influx of over 1,500 workers a day. And so affordable housing, workforce housing, things like that are very important because there's a shortfall of affordability. And so we're collaborating and working with real estate developers and investors in states like Arizona and Florida on addressing those demands. And so what we did was we put together an affordable housing packaged solutions of differing square feet, anywhere from like 500, 550 square feet, all the way up through about 1,500 square feet. And so what we have is we have packaged solutions that are turnkey. Think of, you and I, Greg, are old enough to know what a Sears catalog was.
Yeah, that's
And
true. Yep. Yep.
there are thousands, tens of thousands of Sears catalog homes that are built around the country. And so what we've done is we've modernized that whole concept. And what we've done is, and we're just scratching the surface here. So today, what we've done is we've created affordable housing packages for our clients. And Greg, do you mind if I share my screen real quick?
We can put the link up for people to grab it on the website.
Yeah, so essentially what we've done is we've collaborated with one of our manufacturing partners. So at Z-Sphere, we are the resilient, sustainable, and energy efficiency building experts, right? That's what we do. Z-Sphere in our last podcast, Greg, we covered some of the things that make Z-Sphere unique from an insurability perspective, extreme resiliency, whether it's hurricanes or floods, whatever it might be. So we've taken those unique capabilities and many of the characteristics of our flagship solution, and we've created very energy efficient, very affordable, turnkey building packages that utilize our technology. And nutshell, what it boils down to is very affordable, incredibly energy efficient. A lot of the people that we speak with are asking us, "Hey, I'd really like to live off grid. I'm not liking what I'm seeing in terms of power bills going up, and I have no control over it.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to have some control over that. Can you do something like that for us?" And so we've answered that demand And what we did was we released these packages in early December. And so they're incredibly energy efficient. They're very fast to build. You can DIY, you can order it from us, it'll get shipped to you, and we'll send it along with instructions for assembly and everything else. Our packages include the high energy efficient walls and roof structure. It doesn't require any trusses or anything like that. This is a fully engineered building. And so it comes as a kit. So if you want to DIY it, you can. My team, just two people on my team can install our 550 square foot building on a slab, the walls and the roof. We can do that install in about 2 days. So it comes in a kit, and those panels and everything, there's assembly required, but if you want to DIY, you can do it yourself with our instructions, or you can hire us to do it and we'll put it together for you.
Let me ask you this question, because when you were on last time, you were talking about building this sustainable structures for hurricane prone areas and all of that. So and now you brought up the affordable housing issue. So is that what happened? You had a mind shift to take care of a problem that's out there. Is that one way you looked at
Yeah,
it? That you build them, because these don't look anything like the other ones.
and no, these are very traditional. And the reason we did that, Greg, is for multiple reasons, right? Housing affordability in the US is at an all-time low, and mortgage rates continue to go up. And so what we did, we recognized that there's a demand and a need out in the marketplace for this affordable housing over and above what we were doing with our flagship solution in the Z-Sphere. We still have the Z-Sphere and everything else, and we're aggressively going to market with that. But we saw another need that was out there, and our team and our manufacturers and our network of capabilities include our ability to deliver something like this. And it's not a heavy lift for us. It dovetails very nicely into our business model. And it allows us to help address another sector of the housing market. And frankly, the whole angle on energy efficiency and sustainability and such, we're checking all those boxes, right? The younger demographics, and I'm talking about baby boomer generation, younger generations than baby boomers, they are screaming for ecologically, and sustainable type solutions, whether it's housing or cars or whatever else. And so we listened to the market, and we created a solution to fill that gap.
Okay. So you have four different models. You want to call them that, right? So the square
We
footages.
actually just released a fifth.
Okay.
So you have four models in there.
Mm-hmm.
The fifth model is similar in size to the 1100-ish square footer. But yeah, we do have a fifth model as well. But you're seeing the main four offerings there, yes.
Right. So we'll have all this stuff on the platform for the show notes. So what I'm looking at
Great.
is the four that we've got: a 2-bedroom, 1-bath. That's 560 square feet. Then you have a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 1125 square feet. You got a 3-bedroom, a larger one, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,260 square feet. And then you have a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. So those are all basically, the max is 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. And then the last one, 1,560 square feet. This one starts at 78,500. So
Correct.
Is that just for the structure itself, and then everything else that you need for bathrooms and vanities and all of those things, that is all additional costs?
Yes, that's correct.
HVAC system doesn't come in with this. Okay, so you're providing the structure. And how would this be considered in a building structure? Is this considered to be like a modular? Do you consider this to be a stick built? What category would you put this in?
Yeah, it's kind of a hybrid between them, because it's a panelized system, right? It's not pre-built like a modular home would be, but it's also not stick built, because we provide it's a panelized system for both the roof structure and the walls. So everything is already pre-cut. It's literally assembled by numbers. And so the great thing about this solution is a few things. It's very fast to build, number one. Like I said, it just takes a couple days for the structure. The other thing, Greg, is that it's finish ready. So there's no plywood, there's no anything that's required, to do anything more structural to the building. You can put a roof on it, you can put the exterior on it, and it's ready to finish on the inside. You got to put your mechanicals in, your electrical and plumbing, things like that. But the walls and the roof system itself, it's finish ready. So there's that building and those prices, those are ready to finish. You can install your windows, you can put on your roof and everything else and have that building watertight very quickly so that you can quickly move to the interior and then build out the finishing inside.
So you've got down here that it's hurricane resilient up to category 3, earthquake resilient.
Big checkbox for us, yes.
So how does the earthquake
Yes.
resilient, how does that work out in this structure? I mean, if the ground moves,
Yeah, so if
the building's going to move?
Sure. Yeah, so earthquakes destructive. The reason why earthquakes are destructive to buildings is because of mass and weight of a structure. And let me explain. So if you've got an earthquake and the ground moves, right? Let's say it's one of these. When that motion is started, the mass of those walls and that building, it's heavy. And so what happens is it's kind of like a car in motion. Let's say you got a wall, and let's say you're driving a car. There's going to be a lot more destructive damage going 100 miles an hour against that wall than 1 mile an hour against the wall. Okay. And that's a function of mass and speed. Okay. An earthquake operates much the same way to a building. That earthquake, when it begins to move, and depending on the severity of the earthquake, there's mass associated with that building. So in a severe enough event, that weight, think of the building's weight as being the most destructive thing to it. The heavier a building is, the more damage you're going to have, because as soon as that weight gets moved, it creates momentum and it wants to break the building.
So you've got
the
more.
beautiful thing about our
I was going to say there's more energy going on in that building.
There's more energy.
Right.
There's more mass being moved. Yes.
Okay.
So the beautiful thing about our structure is it's lightweight. It's structurally sound, very structurally strong, but it's lightweight. So when an earthquake happens, there's very little mass, and the building just moves naturally with the earthquake. There's not really any significant weight for the motion to compromise, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So that's one of the beautiful things about the buildings and the structures. It's lightweight, so very tolerant to earthquakes, and very forgiving to earthquakes, and then certainly very hurricane resilient as well.
Yep. So on the other model, you were saying that 4 had to be purchased at one time in a hurricane-prone community, whatever that was. So this isn't the case now. Anyone can pick whatever size, price that they want, correct?
Absolutely. Pick up the phone or go to our website, give us a call. I can order it for you today with a deposit. Absolutely. Turnkey ready. Any volume. We're looking to, it can be anyone from an individual, consumer, somebody that's got some property somewhere and they want to build on it, to a developer that needs 100, right? We'll accommodate any volume and can ship anywhere in the U.S.
So you're
including Puerto Rico. It's a little bit expensive to ship things to Puerto Rico, but if you want to do something in Puerto Rico, we can do that as well.
Can you do it in the Philippines?
We could, but the shipping expense is probably going to far outweigh any of the other tangible benefits.
It's a long way
just
from
because
here.
Shipping is so expensive.
Right.
Yeah, it's a long way.
So you're the manufacturer. Are you the manufacturer?
We're not the manufacturer. We're the integration partner. So we have a distribution relationship with our manufacturer of our state-of-the-art panels that we utilize in the Z-Sphere. And one of the reasons why the Z-Sphere is so unique is because of my research. I found the right manufacturer and manufacturers that would work with our system, and this happens to be one of them. And so we have that relationship. And so we're not the direct manufacturer yet. We're actually building a factory down in the Caribbean for our Z-Sphere needs, and we'll also do conventional design panels as well. But at the end of the day, right now we're leaning on our existing manufacturing partner to fulfill.
So the other thing that's on here, it says 100% off-grid capable.
Yes.
Describe that for us.
Yeah, so there's a growing body of people in younger generations that they don't like bills, right? They don't like car payments, they don't like electric payments, they don't like any of those bills, which is why Uber and Lyft and all those things are so popular. And so we're seeing a growing trend in people wanting to live off grid and generate their own power. The reason why we know this trend is massively increasing is because you've got companies like a Generac, that's a backup generator provider, and others that are making in-home battery systems for solar panels. And their manufacturing and demand is literally going exponential, which is telling us that people want to live off grid. They want to have either a backup or a primary power system that is their solar or wind system. They're putting a battery system in with it so they can power their needs 24 hours a day, irregardless if they have access to grid power or not. We've got strategic relationships with power production companies, literally power generation companies in terms of technology that is just state of the art, and it's not solar driven. It's completely independent, petroleum free type of deal. And I can absolutely confirm that there are those legitimate innovations at commercial scale out in the market, and they're quickly coming. So the other thing that makes our building system unique is the energy efficiency. So our building, the walls and roof system, we can go all the way up to nearly R50, which is essentially twice the efficiency of a Yeti cooler. So incredible hot and cold, thermal efficiency. So what that does is the greatest consumer of power in anybody's home for just, conventional means. I'm not talking about pool pumps and things like that, but for anybody who's just got a regular home and they need air conditioning, whether they're in, hot or cold or whatever, the greatest consumer of power is the HVAC system, the heating and cooling. And so what our building represents is dramatic reduction in the amount of energy that's required to heat or cool the building, which means we don't need to generate nearly as much power as a conventionally constructed home does or building does. Does that make sense?
So what is the construction of the frame? What do you build it with?
Yeah, so our panels they're a galvanized steel frame with an injection molded foam core. And it's just like a white styrofoam cup, the white foam. It's called expanded polystyrene, and it's a foam that gets molded into the panel. The steel part of the panel provides the structural integrity, and then the foam also provides structural integrity, but most importantly, it provides the thermal efficiency.
And so you said that you and someone else, another one of your people, you can put this structure up in 2 days?
Yeah. Our smallest one, the 550 square foot,
but you can still
square feet. Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
With what without using forklifts and things like that? I mean, so what is the weight of this though?
Sure. So I can hold one of the 4 foot wide, roughly 10 foot long panels. I can hold it up with one hand. So it's incredibly light. The panels are very easy to handle and move. They're cumbersome from a size perspective, but in terms of weight, they're very lightweight. And so in terms of installation, do you need heavy equipment to install it? No. Can you do it without it? Sure. But you're certainly going to want some scaffolding or something like that when you start to put up the roof section, the center of the roof, things like that. So there are tips and tricks that, we'll share with DIYers if you want some recommendations on what you're going to need to do it. But at the end of the day, it doesn't absolutely require heavy equipment. When you get into our bigger buildings, it does just because they're taller and the panels are larger. So you are going to want like a material handler, like a lull, that you see on a construction site for delivering materials. You will want one of those, not because of the weight, but strictly because of just the size of the panels and getting them to where you need them at an elevation.
Okay. So what is the
Yeah, great,
outside
great.
going to
Bring
what
it up.
yeah, so what is the outside going to look like now?
Yeah, so you can use conventional finishes. The most popular conventional finish is stucco, and you can use, a lot of our clients choose to use, the foam, decorative trim around windows and doors, and maybe some other aesthetic features. So that's the most popular and most common. You can use siding, you can use vinyl siding, which I don't recommend just because of the ecological implications. And we are trying to do some ecologically beneficial things here. But in terms of metal siding, aluminum siding, things like that, it really is going to boil down to where you live. Stucco is a great option for people that live in hurricane prone areas. Siding is not typically very, it doesn't lend itself to hurricane prone areas. So anything, it can accommodate virtually any exterior finish. But at the end of the day, we do recommend a couple of finishes that work really well with the solution.
Okay.
A metal roof works very well with this system. Conventional asphalt shingles, we don't recommend them for this solution just because they're not as easy to install. Can it be done? Sure. But is it as cost effective and easy? No. So we have some recommendations for clients there too.
But they don't need to be built by coastal areas though. Like you're in Arizona
They,
and
they do
you're in the
not. Oh no,
desert,
you can
right?
build these anywhere.
You can put one up
Yeah,
in the middle of the desert, right? So,
sure can.
yeah,
Yep, sure can.
exactly.
Yep.
So
This is a build anywhere. Yep.
how many of these do you have out there right now that are finished, or is this something brand new yet?
This is brand new. We just launched this in early December, and we're just now in discussions with clients and in the early stages of beginning to fulfill orders. One of the other newer developments too, Greg, one of the other things that I've been busy with is zSphere as a company. We recently became a national signatory with the Carpenters and Millwrights Union. And we did that so that we could provide our clients, you know, typically our more, general contractor clients, builder clients, we could provide them with a skilled labor force of any size across the country because we have planned and we have slated, large development projects, whether they're zSphere, our flagship solution, or they are, this affordable housing type solution. You've got to have a good skilled labor pool out there and resource to work with. And the Carpenters Union has been they've been tremendous. I'm actually out here in Arizona. I just met with the Arizona branch today. Last week, I was in California meeting with the guys in Southern California because they've got real housing affordability issues. This is the primary topic that we're talking about in those two areas. And it will certainly be when I make my way back east and start talking to folks in Florida and Georgia, et cetera. So it's a new solution. We don't have any on the ground yet, but they will be in the very near future.
Well, I think it's exciting stuff. It really is. And so, what do you think your time frame is to trying to get from? Well, obviously, you're going to need orders. Now, do you have any orders right now?
Yeah, no, they're just so we're in the planning stages with many people. They're learning about it, educating themselves, and we're getting to the point where we'll be taking orders here likely in the next few weeks.
So, are you going to be someone who's going to have one for yourself? You know what they say, right? Yeah, you build a car, you got to own one.
Well, in my case, given I'm the founder and creator of zSphere, I've actually got one of our flagship solutions being built on my property right now. It's a 30 footer. So great question.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So, and I think that's important because you have to have all these things coming together besides just the structure itself, right? Because it's not coming with
Right.
everything in there, right? For those that are listening right now,
Correct.
when we get finished with this, we'll have all the information for you to reach out to David and the links to go exactly to Z-Sphere and also for these structures that are being offered. But you're going to need people to
Yes.
come in there, right? Because you're going to need electricity, right? So you're going to need all of those things for the different bedrooms and outlets. So all of those. So you're going to need carpenters. You're going to need electricians. You're going to need plumbers. Correct. All those things. And
Correct.
there's not a
Yeah.
kit that comes to your house and Amazon doesn't drop it off and you just start plug and go, right?
We're just starting with the building. It's going to evolve here in the coming months and year to where we will be providing our clients a list of providers to where they can go order the window package and door package. They can go order, they'll understand, okay, I need this much concrete if I want to do this slab, or I need these cabinets or whatever it may be. So we will have, cut sheets and lists of things that our clients can order when they want to build these out in a standard configuration. Obviously, if they want to customize and do things like that, that's kind of that's going to be out of the scope. But at the end of the day, right now we're just starting with the wall and the roof system because, frankly, Greg, that's the most sorely missing part from an affordability, time to install, and efficient, resilient building. That's the most important missing piece that we're seeing out there in the market today. You can get hurricane resilient windows and doors, and you can go get electrical outlets and things like that. But what can't you get from a Home Depot or that you can't get this type of solution? And that's really where the value comes into play that we provide.
Mm-hmm. Well, power is also important because it doesn't really matter what the structure is to some degree, because if you don't have power, you don't have power, right? And I think
Oh
that
yeah, that's a different aspect, right? The building does you no good unless you have power. And so that's a great point. So one of our other areas of expertise is, look, we're the sustainability experts as well. So we know solar power, wind power, we know it better than anybody, especially when it comes to solutions like this. So we will have recommendations on suppliers and systems and everything else that fit these buildings very well.
Generac makes a solar battery backup system, so you can have that as
They do.
well. Now,
Sure
it will
can.
get you through momentary outages. It's not going to completely power your entire house.
In our case, Greg,
It
when it's sized properly, in our case, it will.
okay,
Yeah, when
yeah,
we say 100% off grid, we're talking 24/7.
yeah. Well, that's interesting because then you're talking about kilowatt usage. Because if the house is insulated well and it's constructed well, then you're not losing energy, right? So things aren't running as
Correct.
is in most homes. Because what a lot of people don't seem to understand is that if you get your house really well insulated, windows, doors, frames, the insulation as you talked about, all the way up to R50, it's going to reduce the amount of wasteful energy that you're kicking out the windows and kicking up the roof and all of that because everything's running all the time.
Greg, one of the biggest misnomers about solar panel use in our country today, perspective today, one of the biggest misnomers is that, oh, I'm gonna have power all the time. And I'm here to tell you, when you live in an area where you might have hurricanes or whatever else, and the grid goes down, you do not have power when the grid goes down. If you do not have a battery system and it is not designed properly, those solar panels might as well be a boat anchor because they don't do anything for you. So that's where a lot of the value comes from myself and team is we're going to collaborate with our clients and we're going to design solutions that are designed, they're right sized for you.
I mean, it's just amazing right now what this type of technology is going to be in the future and in the very near future.
Great innovations happening in the marketplace. Very exciting times.
So where do you see yourself now? Since you sort of were working on that Z sphere for the sustainable structures that you were looking at, people buying them or investors buying them, at four at a time. And now you've developed, basically individual homes that people can buy. So where do you see your company going now? Are you basically like embracing every new form of technology that comes on the marketplace or comes introduced, and then now you're looking at how to put that into the marketplace and to solve a problem? How do you see zSphere in the next 5-10 years?
Yeah, so one of the things that makes zSphere special is that we're very selective in our vetting process, and we're focused on solutions that we know have a future, that have a legitimate future, right? There's solutions out there right now that are temporary. They don't have a good future because they're not sustainable. When I say sustainability experts, I mean it. We're all about designing solutions that will last, decades, if not our zSphere, for example, that's 100-year building. So we're all about value and sustainability. So yeah, we're vetting new technologies and selectively integrating them into what we're doing where it makes sense from a value perspective and also an economics one, right? If the math doesn't work and it's not providing real value, then we're not doing it. So what you see in zSphere Solutions is the best of all worlds as far as that goes. Now, our primary focus is the Caribbean and coastal U.S., southeastern, Gulf states, coastal Southeast U.S. Our focus is there is because they've got a real problem, Greg. And I mean, Fort Myers and Naples and Sanibel Island are the most recent example. That's $100+ billion storm and damage that happened with Hurricane Ian last fall. Okay. I want your listeners and I want you to think about us like this. So we are the only company in the world that has solved the flood resiliency problem, flood and storm surge. We have that solved. We're the only company in the world that has solved the insurance problem in hurricane-prone areas. And the insurance problem as it relates to flood as well as hurricane wind. And we're the only solution in the world, the only product and company in the world that has created a fully self-sustaining building in a single package with all those features. So you can imagine our investor conversations are getting quite interesting because we have addressed a several $100 billion problem in a single solution. It's a very complex problem. It took me a long time to figure it out, but I did. And so right now, we're assessing, taking our time, aligning ourselves with the proper business partners, proper technology providers, and the proper investors. So great question.
I guess the question is, how long do you think people are going to need to wait? There'll be some people right now listening that are very excited about, man, I need to know more about this. This is something that is making me really excited. And what can I do here? What do you want to say?
Yeah, so you bet. So the first thing is the reason we introduced these affordable housing offerings is so that the people that want to utilize and leverage the value proposition that we've created at zSphere can. And you can order one of our packages today, right? In terms of these affordable housing packages. So that was one. We had to do that. We had to do it quickly. The zSphere, our flagship solution, that's a unique animal, right? It's designed for disaster-prone areas and flood-prone areas specifically. So that's taking more time just because it's unique, it's different. People are unfamiliar with it. And oftentimes it takes years to educate people and help them understand what it's really all about. And then one day the light goes on and they're like, I got it. And so now we're at that point. I had a great phone call with one of our first clients who's doing a hospitality venue in Puerto Rico. He's going to do 6 of our 30-foot zSpheres on a mountaintop next to the rainforest. And it's primarily designed to be an Airbnb. Very excited, and he can't wait to get started because he knows he's going to book it out for the vast majority of the year. And so, yeah, our clients are extremely excited. We're getting very close to moving into the market and delivering. Our intention this year is we are going to build several model homes and 1 or 2 developments in Puerto Rico this year. And we're going to do that prior to hurricane season because our intention is to demonstrate in real time all of these real world capabilities during an actual hurricane. It's already been completely vetted by third parties, engineering firms, et cetera. So we know it'll do what we say it's going to do. But as everybody knows, Greg, the proof is in the pudding, right? And you've
Absolutely.
actually got to see it to know that it works. And Greg, I don't know if I mentioned this in the last podcast, but the next best day of my life will be me standing in one of our model homes or one of our client developments in Puerto Rico this fall, and me standing there live streaming the middle of a hurricane when the wind is howling, 130, 150 miles an hour. And I'm doing a live stream because we have resilient communications too. I'm going to live stream and I'm going to demonstrate that we have nonstop power, nonstop water, and nonstop working toilets, showers, etc. That's going to be the next best day of my life.
And you're going to have the Weather Channel out there with you? You got to invite those guys out there because they love that stuff.
They might want inside just because they don't want to be outside.
I would be calling them right now and telling them you need to. I would be calling those guys, telling them you need to order one.
Certainly,
you can build.
Certainly.
If you could build a sustainable truck for all sorts of weather. Now you're talking, right?
Yeah,
absolutely.
So yeah, exciting times for us, Craig.
Well, this is great. I'm just blown away, quite frankly. It's not about the fact that it's the building. I'm blown away just on your mindset. That's what I'm excited about, is that it's your thinking process. It is just blows me away. So I don't know where your thoughts go with you all day. I know that you're very busy. You've got contractors you're dealing with. You have employees, and you have your own boardroom of people that your mind trust. But you must be always like thinking about looking at stuff and going, I wonder if I can make that better. I mean, do you see yourself doing that? Like if you're daydreaming, or I don't want to call it that, but if you're like driving around and you're like, boom, you get this light bulb goes off in your head. How does that work?
Oh, sure. My wife is constantly amazed, and she's constantly having to reel me in because, I might be driving or something, and I'll have to go back to her and I'll say, "Hon, what were we just talking about? What did you say?" Because I'm constantly thinking about it, and I don't sleep much. So
okay. Because so she must be saying to you, David, aren't you paying attention? Aren't you listening to me? And you're like, yeah, honey, I am. Sure, absolutely. It's interesting because I'm sure that you've come across just challenges yourself, and you have to figure out how to overcome them. And what do you tell people who want to be entrepreneurs, that want to be doing these magnificent sort of life-changing things? What do you say to them when they tell you, will you hear fear coming at them? Will you hear that?
Yes.
What's a response?
So yeah, great question. So if I was to share three things for entrepreneurs out there, especially if you're bringing a new product or something to market, and these are three distinct things that I've been very blessed with, a tremendous network of friends and family and colleagues that, it's taken me over 10 years to vet my team, and they're just, I have a tremendous team around me. And so those three things are this. First of all, if you're going to get into something, save a bunch of money, set it off to the side, because you're going to need a dedicated pool of money to pull from while you're doing the creative, because you have to dedicate yourself 100%. It's virtually impossible to work a full-time job and truly innovate and bring a solution to market, right? I've tried it. It doesn't work. So you've got to dedicate yourself and your thought process and your focus to that 100%. Have a pool of capital, either yourself personally or with other committed friends, family, whatever it may be. So have a pool of capital. The other thing is you need at least one or two people that you would trust with your life. Mm. When difficult decisions arrive and when tough situations occur, you have to have people there that you can lean on and that can lean on you, and it becomes a team effort, right? You don't need a lot. You just need one or two, but you must have them. As an individual, there's no such thing as an individually successful entrepreneur. Maybe from a wealth perspective, but not in terms of how they got there in building that wealth and creating it. It is all about a team effort. So have some capital, have those solid one or two people around you that you can lean on. And then lastly, you must have your market timing right. It's great to have a tremendous innovation, but if the market is not ready for your solution, forget about it. You can spend all the money in the world. There's been dozens and dozens of published studies and research that have been done on entrepreneurship and what the key aspects of it are, whether it's people or capital or product or market timing or whatever else. Market timing is by far the most important. So if there were three top things that I would share, it's those.
And then what? You have to have a mindset, right? You have to. Sometimes you have to stop You have to stop listening to people who tell you no, who tell you, David, I think that's crazy, man. Like, why are you even doing that?
Great point, Greg. So you must have a Michael Jordan mindset. Do you know how many people told Michael Jordan or Shaquille O'Neal or whoever, oh yeah, you're never going to be that or the other thing. But you know what? They never stopped, and they had a vision, and they had dedication and tenacity and persistence above all else, which is what made them the champions that they are.
Mm.
And myself and team are no different. We're tenacious, we persist, and we will thrive because of that. And so, yeah, those characteristics are absolutely essential. If you don't have that tenacity and vision, don't even bother starting, because it is a requirement.
Well, that's an interesting point, because I had brought up on one of my prior podcasts about when you start something, you have to have the mindset that you're going to finish it when you start it. Because many people go into something and they're going to open up the door and walk through it, and then, well, whatever happens, happens. Well, that's not the way to do it. If you're going to take on something like a venture like this, then you have to have the mindset that you're going to continue, and you're going to go through it, and you're going to finish it. Now, you may have obstacles along the way, but that's not going to stop you. You may have a number of red lights, but you're going to figure out how to get through those red lights to get what your passion is. So that's my point.
Greg, so many obstacles, so many obstacles. But again, when you have the team and you have the tenacity and such, yes, you will persist, especially if your market timing and everything is right. Now, there's an analogy that I like to apply to what you just said. And so, I'm sure a lot of people have heard it. It can be overused sometimes, but that is the old, how do you eat an elephant analogy?
Right. One bite at a time.
Yeah. One bite at a time. And if there was another recommendation that I could make, is that make a little bit of progress every day. You need to make a little bit of progress every day. You don't need to boil the ocean, but do something meaningful every day in your actions and your resources, your network, your colleagues, your people, your marketing, whatever. Just do something every day. And before you know it, 365 days later, you got something. Or in our case, 14 years I've been at this, part-time, and 3 years full-time. So it just takes that level of time and commitment. Big things, Tesla and Elon Musk did not happen overnight. He thought about that for years before he did it. And the same thing that could be said for other meaningful inventions. We've got something in zSphere that's very innovative, very unique, and groundbreaking and state of the art. And it just takes a long time for that to develop.
Well, David, this has been great. I really appreciate you coming in and being the first guest on Planet One, because I think this really sets the tone for, this podcast and more information about different things that they can learn about. So for those that are listening right now, and if you want to find out more about these sustainable building structures that David has just described, we've got some information for you. And you can go to, we'll give you an email address. You can go to solutions@myzsphere.com. We'll have all this up on the platform for you. And then also he's got a website, which is myzsphere.com. And anything else that you want to share with us here this afternoon on this beautiful end of January day that's on your mind, or any other way that people can contact you?
Not other than, Greg, thank you for the opportunity to be your first here on this new channel, and congratulations on the launch, and feel privileged to be part of it. Thank you.
Super. Well, David, thanks so much. We appreciate you, and we look forward to getting back with you again in the future. I know you've got a lot on your plate right now that you got to do, and I know you got to run and probably answer a lot of phone calls right now, but I appreciate you giving me the time, and I wish you and your family and everyone the best going forward here in 2023. And for those that want to know more about David, we'll have that information. But also, as he said, if those of you that are on LinkedIn, he's very active on that LinkedIn platform, and you can find him there. He also has his own Z-Sphere on LinkedIn, and you can connect with him and message him, and you can communicate with him directly. We appreciate everybody here. For those that have just learned about all of this stuff, we thank you for being part of our Planet One podcast. And you can go to planetonepodcast.com. We'll have all the other podcasts that we've done. This will be our 6th one now in less than a month. And this is all going up on YouTube. I've got my person right now working on the YouTube channel, and we're going to have all this stuff going, and it's exciting. I'm glad that David was here to be a part of it. Planet One Podcast. This is Greg Angelo wishing you a great rest of your day. Take care. We'll talk to you all soon.